Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Jody Rainey, President of the Heritage Conference, and this is our second episode of Our Heritage. We just came off of our basketball championships presented by First Commonwealth Bank and had a great time at the KCAC. Part of that, as you may know, is we did a lot of expansion on our art show. So our guest today is Courtney Scherf, who is the art teacher at the school and the principal of Homer Center High School. So we just really wanted to talk a little bit today about the art show and to explain a little bit of how things transpired this year and how that got enhanced. At a conference meeting, we were discussing all the different things. Our mission is to create positive and enriching experiences for students. We felt as a conference really good about things we've been doing academically, things we've been doing on the athletic side, and really started talking that we didn't do too much for art other than recognize all conference artists. And so we always had the art exhibit, but we thought, how can we enhance that and make it a little bit better? Also, at a conference meeting, we were discussing the need to do more for our art students in the areas, our three pillar areas of academics, athletics, and the arts. So we had some ideas of how we could maybe enhance the art show. So when I came back to the school, Courtney for the last several years has helped put the art show together, help us present the student artwork, and so we just started talking about what we could do. In addition, I had a conversation with IUP, and they helped connect us to not only the faculty at IUP, but they also helped us connect to the Southern Alleghenies Museum of Art. And we've had several meetings and kind of brainstormed ideas of things we could do for the art, for the art show and for our students that are interested in arts. So Courtney was part of those meetings, generated a lot of ideas, and the one that we felt we could do immediately would have been to enhance the art show. So Courtney, here you come now. So question, from those meetings that we had, just want to explain like how because you in essence took this and really ran with it with some help from others, but you did 90% of the heavy lifting. So can you talk a little bit about kind of like what transpired, like what were we trying to accomplish like in the program that you did put together and all the people that have kind of helped us along the way?
Absolutely. So the main goal for this was we had a display that was already established and up and running, and it had been there for several years already. The issue was that a lot of the students that were participating in the art show weren't coming to the event. So we did a little problem solving, and we're like, okay, what are ways in which that we can encourage students to come and give them a little bit more motivation, because to have your work on display for an audience of 3,500 people is quite impressive. And I thought that we needed to really lift and elevate those students up. So when we were brainstorming through this process, and anytime you make changes, you can't make big changes fast. So this is just year one. Let's see how this goes. But I wanted to kind of bridge a gap between student artists and what opportunities they had as artists outside of high school. So when I thought of that, I thought, okay, let's reach out to local gallery owners, studio owners, local professionals, even casting a wider net. We reached out to a representative at the Carnegie Museum of Art, Jim Nestor, some IUP professors, and just invited them to do a simple meet and greet with the students and just kind of educate them on what they're able to do and kind of continue their passion and creativity outside of high school.
And so when you reached out, part of that discussion was obviously IUP being a pretty good partner, obviously the KCAC setting at the IUP, campus and things like that. So part of those initial discussions involved Kurt. And so do you want to talk a little bit about how that connection of how Kurt got involved and played a little bit of a role in that, and IUP themselves really did a lot, I think, to help us promote, especially in that week leading up to the actual event, we had some coverage in the Indiana Gazette. We got some coverage, just through IUP's public relations office and things like that.
Yeah.
Like how that all transpired too with like IUP and Kurt.
Yeah, Dean Scheib is great to work with. You can tell that he really cares about the art as well, and he loved the idea of having that connection between IUP and a lot of these students, because realistically a lot of the students that are in the Heritage Conference will ultimately end up at IUP, and he was really pivotal in connecting us with people from the Department of Education, as well as there was a graphic design professor that showed up that evening, and he was really a key figure in kind of making all of those things happen and come together. And I believe it was Michelle Friley that did the article as well, right?
She she definitely got the information, and with her contacts and her position, definitely did a lot there. And obviously Chris Corrin, also Dr. Corrin from IUP, definitely did a lot to help us connect us to people that could really, like network, help us like add us into a network of people that really work together to make this happen.
Yeah, and I think they all bought into it, the idea as well. So I think from here, we can only go up. Like, I think a lot of people really enjoyed the experience, but I think they love the idea, too, of just kind of bridging this gap. And if we have the support from all of those people at IUP, think about how many more opportunities we'll be able to provide students in the Heritage Conference. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, in addition to obviously our public relations group, Dr. Corrin, Kurt, those guys helping us from IUP, also a big part that I think the Heritage Conference really appreciated, and I know the students appreciated, was President Driscoll and Vice President D'Angelo from IUP. Both came to that event and took that in, and just the support of IUP, I think that initiating that first conversation and developing this art, and it kind of expanded across the campus, I really think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us as a conference. We have a good partnership with IUP already. I think that's just really strengthening it because of the night and how it was.
Yeah.
And so the partnership with IUP is one piece of the puzzle, but we also had a lot of other people from the art community that also came and supported and were able to interact with students. So just how did, obviously with your connections to the local art community, how did those others, who are they, and how did they come to be part of the night?
It was, with this idea, I was just reaching out to so many different individuals that I've either worked with or alongside, or they were mentors to me throughout my career. And so it was definitely like all my worlds were colliding in this one event. But I reached out to Kathy Patterson, who I consider to be a mentor. She retired from Marion Center as their high school art teacher, but she works at Stokehole Pottery, and she does a lot of classes there. I invited a former student teacher who is an IUP alum, and he is the Ridgeland Elementary art teacher, but he also has connections to the Fox Gallery in Indiana. So he was there kind of representing IUP and the Fox Gallery. I had Brian Jones from the Artist Hand Gallery as well. He's a retired IUP professor and now just exclusively directs the Artist Hand Gallery. I had Mark Altrogi, who is a local painter, so just a professional coming in. I had Jim Nestor from the Carnegie Museum of Art, just talking about like summer opportunities that students have as well. And I know that was, even with the weather and everything, I texted him that day and I said, the roads aren't very good. He's like, I'm going to be there. So he made a commitment because he sees the value in giving back to students as well.
Well, and it was awesome to see Jim. I mean, I personally know him, and but I don't know him through the art world. So to see him in that different vein, and just to be able to catch up with Jim a little bit, not only for him being there to support the kids and what we're trying to do for the conference, but just on a personal level, get to catch up with Jim. That was pretty nice just to see him and get a chance to catch up to.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and like I know he's close with Terry as well, and he was like, I gotta go find Terry. So like it was really cool to have so much of a network connection. Trish Dotson was also there from the Indiana Art Association, and she's directed the arts camp for decades, I think now. And so the arts camp is always a 2-week period, and they offer music, art, and theater through Indiana Junior High, and so it was just a really nice showcase of a variety of different professionals coming in. I was so grateful that like everybody volunteered their time. They're like, what am I supposed to talk about? And I was like, you know what, I'm not really even sure, just let's
well, so let's jump to that. So remember, we said the Heritage Conference in the areas of academics, athletics, and the arts, and our mission is to create positive, enriching experiences.
Yes.
So being part of these conversations with you, obviously we kind of just like, we had an idea, but really the night was to be about exposing our students to either different careers, opportunities, how could they take their talent, or just what's around the area. So when we didn't have like a true format, okay, we did, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But when we went up, what transpired? So we wanted the students to interact with the people from the art community.
Yes.
So how did that go? And I know there's some stories that we've shared already about just some of the connections that were made both ways. And so you just want to talk about that, so the idea was to try to connect our students to the art community in our area, in our region. So when we went up and we all started just being together, talk about that a little bit. What were some things that stood out to you, and what were some things that you felt were really exciting that we can continue to build?
What I really loved about it wasn't scripted, and it wasn't like this formalized agenda that everybody had to follow. So it led to a lot of really good organic conversation, and kids were able to kind of engage with certain certain adults that maybe they wanted to pursue ceramics a little bit more outside of school. So they got to kind of pick and choose who they wanted to talk to. They got to share their work. And vice versa. They got to inquire a little bit about the work that the artists do as well, and it was smooth. Like it wasn't. Everybody kind of seemed to intermingle really well together. Everybody seemed to enjoy the event. I think the families and the students, artists themselves, almost felt like they were being recognized for being there in the first place, and I think that's really important.
Well, and that we talked earlier when we said about like in the past, some of the kids weren't even coming, but from a conference perspective, we felt that was because we really didn't do anything more than give them a ticket to the game and have their art show. There was nothing really, because I'd have kids in the past come to me like, well, what am I supposed to be doing something?
Right.
And I think that's kind of what led to the conversation. We need to do more.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm going to talk to some of Homer Center's art students, because obviously I know them and some of their experiences from the show. I want to get their feedback. But I know we had one that really just found his passion within the last year for art and made some connections with IUP, and
he even applied to IUP in their graphic design program and is accepted, and he got to meet one of his future professors, which is fantastic. And I think that allows him to feel more comfortable with his next step and his next chapter as well, and just kind of the excitement of all of that. The other piece that I was trying to kind of promote was this idea of a gallery reception. So at the gallery reception, there's usually hors d'oeuvres that are served, and I thought, okay, the culinary arts is another form of art. Let's showcase those kids as well. So you reached out to ICTC and asked if they would be willing to do that, and we had to make sure the KCAC, they didn't have any regulations against outside food being brought in, and I thought that was a great highlight for their culinary program as well.
And being there and setting up, and as we did it earlier in the day, and then I stayed, and then as ICTC came in, I have to really give a lot of credit to two people for that. Is number one, Marianne Labrinos, who is like our contact and helps us plan the whole KCAC event. But on top of that, Airmark, who was very gracious in, you know, not only accepting our concept of the reception,
Yeah.
but also watching them like be partners and like, you know, just kind of helping navigate some, you know, some questions and things like that. So again, like the one thing that's so impressive is, you know, all the people that you mentioned, from like the galleries to IUP, all the people that came out and gave of their time, you know, for kids.
Yeah.
So kids could have a positive, enriching experience. I mean, again, I always say the KCAC is such a celebration of the Heritage Conference and our kids. And I was on the pregame with Todd Marino, who, hope Todd watches this, because I do have Todd convinced Todd's going to put a piece of work in next year. At least he should. We discovered an artist I didn't even know we had, the voice of the Heritage Conference,
Maybe he'd
Todd
be willing
Marino.
to auction his piece off, and we could use that as prize money for best of show.
You know me, I'm always looking at an angle to do more for the kids, and unfortunately you need the money sometimes to do that. And I did say that to Todd. I did say that, you know, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but kind of serious if he's into it, is, you know, raffle off and get an original Todd Marino. I mean, that has to be worth a lot of money somewhere along the line, you'd hope. But so talking about those types of things, and obviously it all came together. When I was on the radio, Todd and I were talking, and we mentioned about the art program, and I looked over, and I said to Todd, Todd, there has to be 300 people there. Okay, like, in what arena do students, you know, 36 students, 3 artists from each school, have an opportunity to have that type of, like, not only that type of an event to intermingle with people that have similar interests, and also how to involve themselves more if it's a career they're looking for, or taking their talent into a different type of career, or just an escape, something like that brings them joy and pleasure, where they want to go look at art in the region, you know, go to different places. So obviously we went in with the idea of like, we're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And it went great. But we also have some ideas of what we can do to make it even better. And one of the things that I know that we talked about even before the show was next year we're talking about possibly coming up with a barcode system where people can come in and they can vote for like People's Choice.
Yeah, People's Choice Award for
People's Choice Award, and so developing that. What are some other ideas you think that we might be able to look at to enhance the experience? Because that's what it is. It's the experience for the students. What more are some maybe ideas we can have for the future that might even enhance it more?
Exactly. I think having a juried show, whether we do like the judges or have people vote, or maybe even do both, I think that would be
for
a
someone
great
like
incentive.
me. What's a juried show? Because I'm lucky to build a stick figure, people. So I'm sorry, but I'm all about promoting. I'm amazed by the talent of artists. I wish I had that talent. I don't. And so, what is a juried show? What does that mean?
Well, you just would have certain artists that are like professionals in the area, or even some professors from IUP, and they would cast like their vote, and kind of we create a category of like best technical skill or most creative or whatever it may be. But I think to do some type of an award would be great, and it's just an extra motivator, but it also gives a student extra recognition and a great thing to put on their resume. Like, I was in this juried exhibit and my artwork won first place, right? But I think too, if we had some way to kind of tell a story of the artwork as well, so the student could maybe explain what it was that they're trying to express or communicate through their artwork. Maybe in a museum, how they always have the tags and descriptions of like what the artwork is and their reason behind it, I think would be really nice feature. Maybe even making programs of all the work with that information in it too, so that way like it's
like a side program for the art.
Yeah. To back up a second, the Heritage Conference has different competitions, and the one that would be closely enough related is the Family and Consumer Science competition, because it's a cooking competition. And if you've seen this show Chopped, you open a basket.
Not to get people
the
upset.
finance.
It also involves financial literacy.
Yes.
thanks to, and that's a lot of part too, because First Commonwealth Bank also as a sponsor,
That's
that's
true.
one of the things that they, of all the different, I mean, they help us with everything, but with all the different competitions, that financial literacy piece, obviously you would think as a banking institution would be, and that's
important, yes.
and plus with the requirement of all people have to have at least a semester course in financial literacy in the future. So financial literacy is a big part of the competition as well. But anyway,
It is, but the creative side of the competition is the cooking piece, right? And they have certain ingredients they have to work with. Sometimes they have a recipe they all have to make, or sometimes they have to create their own recipe. It depends on how the advisor wants
different competition.
So the art competition, I see it as very similar. Like, so you have a certain amount of supplies that every group has, the same amount of supplies, and a theme that they have to work with. And the group would have to come up and construct a sculpture within a certain time frame. And then we would bring in people to judge the show. And like I said, the Southern Alleghenies has been willing to like create a rubric for us that we would utilize in the competition. And it would be a really fun day.
Well, I like the idea. Is that the same what we were talking about then with the recycling stuff?
Yes, upcycling.
Like if you have old floppy, for schools that have like old floppy discs,
Yes.
Remember the old typewriter had the eraser on one end and the brush on the other end?
Maybe technology
You may
is the
be
theme,
too young
and you take
to.
apart computers.
I'm a lot older than you probably, so you might be too young.
He
to
says probably. He says probably.
Do you remember those
Yes.
little brushes? You people out there know what I'm talking about, like a little bit older, like more refined. But so what we talked about, like just that, where they all have, and they come in, and then it's just like they have time to, like, so much time to like kind of think of a concept and then just execute it.
Yes.
So you're looking at, not only collaboration, cooperation, but again, another way to bring like-minded students that are passionate about something in the arts, I think is just phenomenal. So you personally, as an art teacher, and I know someone like who loves art, okay, obviously, what do you think was the best thing about what happened up there at the KCAC on February 6th? What was the greatest thing that happened in your mind?
The exposure and the experience for those kids. I can't imagine being showcased in front of thousands of people like that, and for them to recognize that that is a really big deal, and for them to feel important, and for them to realize that there's much more to this passion than just the four walls of their high school.
And we did bring in too the parents to the meeting and let the families go through. And I like how, like you said, it happened organically. I really liked how, like, we kind of were talking beforehand, like, well, we want the kids here, people talking to them, ask them questions, and we just let it kind of happen.
Yeah.
And people, like, just like, you could see people talking art. You could see parents, being able to express their pride in their child, and other extended family members coming and supporting,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in anything that you do, be it the arts, be it what we do for our professions and whatever, is when you have that support of your family and that recognition and that kind of validation that this is a passion of mine, and and trying to just pursue passion, no matter how it stays in your life, if you're an athlete, and obviously those days passed me long, many years ago. But I think that, just how do you stay connected to that? How do you stay connected to art? Art's something that you'll have with you forever.
And actually, there was, when Mark Altroghi was talking, and he wasn't sure what he needed to say, but I told him, he said the most beautiful and perfect thing. And he was sharing how he was an art teacher for a very short period of his life, and then he decided that wasn't the avenue he was going to go. But then he got back into painting because he was having weekly dinners with his dad, and his dad was painting cards. And I thought that was a really beautiful message to send to kids. Like, it doesn't have to be an individual thing. You could do this with the people that you love and value, and like, I thought that was a really nice thing.
Yeah. Things that are, another thing I do want to add about the arts, okay, was this year for the first time, we used to have one student we'd pick from each, like from the school. We'd just say, like, hey, who does a really good job singing the national anthem? So this year we decided why not just have 2 students from each school form a Heritage Conference choral ensemble and perform the national anthem? Wow.
It was beautiful too.
It was fantastic. And I mean, we got so many compliments. It's weird because you're at a basketball game, you know, and it's like you're getting so many compliments about the art show, about the fine art, like the choral kids on the floor. I even had a student, one of our own, that you know, the old Jimi Hendrix version of the national anthem, reached out to me. Unfortunately, was like wondering though sometime if like that opportunity might exist at something like the KCAC for him, or for either other kids that are into the instrumental arts and things of that nature. So the thing is, it's like the thing that's beautiful about the Heritage Conference really is the fact that this art show is just a big step to really hitting our 3 core areas. You know, academics, you talked about it. We do have the academic competition is coming up. So for people watching this, is we do plan, Terry and I plan to head out and hopefully talk to Lisa Prevish, who is the principal at the Northern Cambria High School, who's our chair, and then also try to get out to some of the different competitions and get the viewpoint of students and see how the academic competition works. They're coming up in like early to mid-March. So we have our academic competitions coming, and then after that, soon after, we'll be doing our Heritage Conference robotics. So we have a lot of things that are coming up, but that choral group, though, fantastic. I was sitting right there by the radio when they sung, and I was like, man, this is just right over the top, perfect. So a lot of great things. So now Terry says that she doesn't like talking behind the camera. So a couple of things. Last time, I told everyone like how Mr. Bem was like, you know, my first principal and really a major mentor to me still to this day in my life. And so I found out that Courtney and Terry actually went to school together. Terry said she's cutting all that pre-taped video out. There's nothing there. So there's no secrets to be divulged there. But Terry, just a couple of questions for Courtney, like, because I like how we do some, like, this is just like kind of Ask Courtney Anything section.
My.
So, who would you say was the biggest influence for, I know we had talked a little bit before, it doesn't have to be the same person, but who do you feel like has been the biggest influence to your career and you wanting to go and be an art teacher?
Floyd Stiles. Definitely, hands down, Floyd Stiles. Like, the art room is where I found, like, my escape, where I felt the most comfortable, where I kind of, that's where I just, that was the space that I was like, okay, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know, I think I owe a lot to him, and I kind of try to emulate a lot of what he used to do. And then when I was going through student teaching, Joe Frontino at Penn's Manor was definitely like the person that I was like, if I'm going to be like any teacher, Joe Frontino is the guy. Like, he always said, I just want to be a positive 40 minutes of the kids' day, and that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart every single day I come to work.
I know Joe. Hey, Joe, we finally got a recording here. Someone's saying something nice about you, brother.
I hope he hears that. I truly hope he hears that.
Joe's a phenomenal, like, and I think, too, what the point is here, Courtney, in my mind, is reaching out, like, it's the people that showed an interest in us, okay, like, or as in, like, students. Like, yeah, academics is super important, but I think at the center of anything great is the relationship, you know, and the networking. We talked about networking with IUP. That's phenomenal. Yeah, so Joe is a good guy. So Terry could edit all that up and make it sound really good.
Well, so I asked this the first podcast in a little different way, but what do you, like, if you could describe the future of the Heritage Conference in one word?
One word. That's hard.
Okay.
Inclusive. Like, it really does allow, it celebrates the talents of so many different kids in so many different ways. and I really love that.
I had to use 2 words last time. So Terry can just put in my last one. I'll just say students. Students first, always. You know, it's about students. You know, we're in a profession that's our, that's what we do. And if we can change anything for students and give them opportunities that is going to help them beyond high school or just help them get through their day. I want to celebrate every one of their talents, and so I love the word inclusive. I say it all the time. It's an awesome way to describe the conference. That's what makes us, I think, special and unique and a premier conference. It is that being inclusive, that everybody has a space. Everyone has their space within the Heritage Conference. And that leads us into, Terry, that another episode that Terry and I will be doing is we're looking to do the Heritage Conference Olympics this year for our special needs population.
I love that.
And so there's a lot more to come, the planning, and that is really being spearheaded by Cambria Heights. Eric Thomas is the principal out there, James Kane, their athletic director, their special ed department. So it's a phenomenal thing coming up, and there's going to be, we're targeting the end of April, and those things seem to be coming together. But shout out to Cambria Heights for just really adding that extra opportunity for our special needs population. That's going to be phenomenal.
That's really cool.
I'm definitely going to be there. It's going to be phenomenal. What else, Terry? Any other questions for her?
So my last question is for both of you. What song is currently living rent-free in your head right now? What do you keep humming on repeat?
It's song?
Yeah.
My wife for Christmas got me tickets for August, I think it's 14th, Goo Goo Dolls. And so I've just been like kind of listening.
Iris, he has Iris in his head.
Nope, actually Goo Goo Dolls naked. And not for the reason. Okay, you guys got me on this one, but no, seriously, love that song. It's so awesome.
Just constantly on loop. Jody's humming it.
The only problem was like I have it on an SD card in my truck, and on halfway to work today, like just stopped playing.
Oh,
It was
no.
I can't get my SD card to stop playing, so I don't know what happened.
It's on loop. It's on repeat now.
Yeah.
It's literally in his head.
Okay, Courtney, what about you?
The Rolling Stones, She's a Rainbow. That's
of all the songs, come on.
I have been listening to that song and I don't know if it's just this time of year, and I'm like, I just need it to be springtime. But yeah, that's one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, it's my theme song.
We were talking
I'm a
about
rainbow.
concerts beforehand. I did see, I was at Rolling Stones Steel Wheels concert in Three River Stadium, and a long story, I ended up there with one of my former teachers in high school. Actually ended up there with me and us. There was
That's
like about a
cool.
group of 10 of us. So that'll be another, maybe that, like we're gonna have to do like expose, like we're gonna have to do another
This would be a fun podcast. Like,
Yeah.
but I also listened. We like sung at the top of our lungs "Ants Marching" by Dave Matthews Band the other night, and it was like you don't hear a song for 2 decades, and then all of a sudden you remember every single lyric, and it was great.
We were talking about this earlier, guys, too. It's like we talk about this, and what's so great about being in the Heritage Conference, honestly, is, I look back of all the people that have mentored me and the relationships I've made and how meaningful they've been in my life. And a lot of it, yeah, I do value learning and I do value education, but I value the lessons that when people pour into you and help you see something about yourself that you couldn't see for yourself. And that's what's the beauty of the art show, and you were talking about it, is like these kids know they think they're good artists, but sometimes they just need that reassurance, or someone that's like you talked about, your mentors and things like that. That's what it is. I mean, and for me, the Heritage Conference is a passion, and I talked about this last time, obviously with Terry, is because guys like Stan Bem, Bill Wilt, John Bomboy, Harold Hickson, the list goes on and on of people that really poured into me early in my career when I was moving from college into a profession, into a job. And when I got that first job, Jim Clapp would be another one that just showed me what was really important. And, so to take their vision of the Heritage Conference and see it continue to grow and expand and be inclusive of all people, and knowing that was their vision, is super meaningful to me. And if I had to say, it's probably been the highlight of my career, honestly, of just not only the impact that it has for the schools that I've worked for, Homer Center now, but also to see that touching all kids in 12 other school districts is phenomenal, because we're in it for kids. That's what we're in it for. But so yeah, those relationships and those people out there that really helped us find our passion and be able to maybe extend that and help kids find their passion now. That's really what it's about. With us here, I'm going to have, these are 3 Homer Center students that actually got to have art in the art show and experience the new enhanced version of our art exhibit at the KCAC. So what we're going to do is we'll have them introduce themselves, and then Terry's going to ask them some questions. Terry's fun questions here. Some serious, some fun. Right, Terry?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, here's our Homer Center artist. So we'll start at Hanna. We'll go left to right.
I'm Hanna Weller. I'm a senior at Homer Center High School.
I'm Peyton Tanner, and I'm also a senior at Homer Center.
I'm Tavius Skillings, and I'm also a senior at Homer Center High School.
Okay, so how did you feel seeing your work on display at the KCAC and knowing that there were so many people who were walking through and seeing what you had created?
Personally, I mean, I liked the idea of my art being there. It was kind of like nerve-wracking having everybody stare at my art the whole time. But I mean, I liked it. It was a good experience.
I was also nerve-wracking experience, but it was nice to see people taking photos of my artwork, and then it made me feel proud about it. So
Yeah, I was really excited to have a bunch of people see it, and IUP professors, and it was just really nice seeing everyone's reactions.
Is there one piece of feedback that maybe stuck with you, or a reaction, or somebody who came to the show that really, just made you proud to have your work there?
I mean, I feel like I got a lot of good feedback. Everyone was saying it was really nice. I had a few people that knew my grandma that was there. I was like, it was so nice, it was so nice. So I think that was really cool.
my dad is a huge inspiration with my art, and he showed up for me, and that was really nice for him to see my work on display, because I had been keeping updates with him, doing my sibling projects. So it was really nice for him to be able to see it.
One of my mom's friends was there that she graduated with, and she saw my work and she was really surprised, and she congratulated me and just gave me a bunch of credit. That's all I remember.
When you're going through the creative process, do you prefer to listen to music? Do you prefer to work in silence? Do you like to be by yourself or work in a classroom surrounded by your friends?
I usually listen to music depending on how intricate I'm being. If it's really detailed, sometimes I'll just turn the music off, but usually I listen to music, and I like to be by myself, because if there's too much talking around me, I feel like I can't focus.
I agree. I like listening to music, but for my sibling project, there were parts where I really had to just lock down and get it done, so then I would have to shut the music off and be serious with it.
It would depend sometimes. I'll listen to music sometimes and then not, but if I do, it's usually calm music. But usually I do my work throughout the school day too, whenever I don't have anything else.
Do you have a certain art supply that you could not live without?
I need an eraser, definitely.
I think mine would be acrylic paints. I just like mixing colors and making my own palettes.
Yeah, probably my fine line pen, and also need an eraser.
Okay, so if you could collaborate with any artist, alive or not, who would it be?
Honestly, any big artist. I don't have one in mind specifically, but any big artist that is very known, like Claude Monet, Vincent Van Gogh, anyone like that.
This is going to be a really niche artist. Nobody's going to know what it is, but they're called Camar cases, and it's this graffiti brand, and it kind of reflects my reflection and for my work, for my sibling piece, and I would like to make phone cases with them.
You guys might not know him, but I don't remember his first name, but I know part of his name has Oda in it. He's the creator of this show that I really like, and it's inspired me to start drawing again and stay motivated. So yeah.
Right now, as you were going along your day, what song have you been humming in your head? What's living rent-free in your head right now?
Wagon Wheel.
Mine's probably Bloody Valentine by MGK. That's a really niche artist, but like since Valentine's Day, it's been in my head.
Probably any Tyler Creator song.
Do any of you see art being a part of your future, or do you plan on doing it as a career, or do you just prefer it as a hobby?
I usually prefer it as a hobby. I mean, sometimes I do art for like other people and I get like paid for it, but it's not going to be like part of my professional career whenever I'm older.
I think that I might go into children's education, so I'm hoping that like I can incorporate like my artistic skills with like crafts and stuff like that to inspire young kids.
I do see art in my future because I'm doing the IEP for fine arts and graphic design and animating, so.
How do you see art then? I guess I'll ask Hannah this one. It's like, how do you see art in your future? Like, do you see art being, like, even if it's not part of your career, you sound like you're pretty passionate about it and you love art. So how do you see art as something that stays with you, like either as an artist or just someone who goes out and enjoys other people's works, or how do you see art in your future?
I feel like I'll still definitely do art. Like, I'm not going to do it like as my profession, but I'll definitely do it probably as like a side gig or something. But I mean, I definitely do still love art, and sometimes there was the one time that me and my family went out to Pittsburgh when there was like other art coming out, and we just went to go look at the art and stuff, and I really like that, so I think I'll definitely do that when I'm older too.
Peyton, you talked about like young people and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but also just as an artist yourself, like how do
I
you
just like enjoying art. Like for my senior photos this year, I went to Pittsburgh and looked at the Mac Miller murals, which were really cool to see. There was like a ton down there, and I just liked enjoying the art. So I think just enjoying it. And then even like the ceramic shop up on Philly Street, one of the owners was at our art show. I feel like even doing something like that, like pottery, would just be fun, like on a date night or something.
Dave's obviously is a career,
Yeah.
but it's kind of interesting, like you kind of refound something, and that's been recent within the last year. Ms. Scherf was right in what she was telling me. So what was it that brought you back to like really finding that as a passion and something that you even want to pursue as a career? Like what was that triggered that for you?
Recently, I was like given a sketchbook as a gift, and then I kept seeing a bunch of like TikToks of like a bunch of people's drawings, and it was like really cool. So I'd try to see how good I get, and I've obviously improved in the past since October. So might as well see how far I can get with it.
The best thing about Ms. Scherf as an art teacher, what is it that really resonates with you as far as Ms. Scherf is concerned?
Definitely how motivated she is, and definitely how she helps everybody, and she always stays like happy basically to help everybody.
She's always positive. The mood is always like very light in her room. I've always had art every single year, I think, and just like her faith and just her personality just like is really motivating. And she also bought me like new pens for my senior project that I use for my siblings. So she just like really goes out of her way, like using her own money for like supplies, and just like she's just always there for you.
Yeah, she has a really like positive gratitude, and she will help the students if they need like certain utensils. Like today, she let me borrow some fine line pens because mine were starting to run dry. So she really does care for her students, and it's really nice.
Where do you find inspiration for your work?
Well, usually whenever I do work, it's for other people, and they'll send me pictures. But if I do it just for myself, I don't really like find inspiration from anything, but like I still look at stuff and then make it up in my head.
Honestly, Pinterest. I love scrolling through Pinterest. I have so many boards. I love it.
Yeah. My inspiration is kind of like seeing how good I can make it turn out to like also the copy on Pinterest. Mostly that.
And if you have one suggestion that maybe we could add or do maybe differently, or something that we could even enhance, you guys were the first ones ever to get to experience the art exhibit and the art show the way it was at the KCAC. What's one thing that you would say that like maybe we could do, or something that we could continue to enhance that really could resonate with future artists?
I also think that a little bit of competition would be fun, like if we would be able to place our artwork.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Peyton. If it was like a competition, and like at the end we got to see like the rankings everyone else thought of, maybe like the people in the stadium had like an app to like go vote to, that'd be pretty nice to see who
Yeah.
win.
Well, it's kind of nice to know that the things that we've been talking about at a conference level is the same things that the students are saying too. So so I just, two things there I'm going to say about, since they're students at home, or two, I got to say, 3 fantastic seniors that really just, I was so happy to see them up there. And what I loved your answers, guys, you all talked about family, about because the idea of the Heritage Conference is to create positive, enriching experiences, and to be able to share your passion for art and your work with your grandmother, your dad, your mom's friend, and stuff like that. To see you guys up there and interacting with people that are very meaningful, that you care about in your life and stuff, and share your talent and your passion, and to hear them talk to you about how proud they are of you, because I'm certainly proud of you guys, and I know the school is too. So not only what you did to represent the Heritage Conference, but what you did to represent Homer Center. Super proud of you guys. But no, thanks guys too, and awesome. And then we do have an all-conference artist, and that Peyton was selected as a Heritage Conference all-conference artist, and I was really excited that you got to meet one of your professors coming up, and I was really excited that I got to talk. I saw your mom first time I saw her for a while, but I also, just the fact that you got to share something special with your grandmother too. That's awesome, guys.